Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with Matt, Adam, Brian, Doug, and Freddie, where they discuss everything that matters in today's fire service. Now let's get to the show.
Speaking of funny,
what season are we on?
What season?
What season?
Well, we're almost a year and a half in, and we're still in season 1. Is what we're doing. We were talking last night, and I told Matt, I was like, at some point we need to end season 1 or go back and fix and say, well, this is technically when it ended.
So when we had the Dear Chief podcast ladies on, and they constitute seasons because that's not the right word, constitute, but they
consider.
Sure. They take like a break during the summertime, I think.
Yeah.
During like a month or 2 months. And then when they come back, they call it a different season, which I love that. I actually kind of condone that, where maybe we take, a month off and then it's the next season just to kind of, regroup and catch our breath. But I don't know.
Catching a breath is a good thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. No,
it's not.
Coming up
we did
for
a
air.
lot of that. We did a lot of that before you brought Brian on board.
We did.
Yeah, we sure
I
did.
rule with the iron fist. I apologize.
No way. Are you kidding me? I love it.
And I think our listeners like it. We've had a lot of folks that tell us that they love it dropping every Friday.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we try to do here on the Cool Fireman Podcast. We try to drop a new episode every Friday for the listeners because, we have such loyal listeners. We might not have a lot of listeners, which is fine, but we do have quality listeners that listen to all of our podcasts, and we love it.
And give us great feedback and interact with us and do so much. I think we're going to try something different. Speaking of that, we are on episode 67, but we were talking before we hit the record button tonight, and I think we're going to try something a little different. We're going to put housekeeping at the end for those new listeners, and what housekeeping is where we just kind of just refresh on all the important things. And so for those loyal listeners that are listening the whole time, we're just going to try to put that on the back end, so that way the loyal listeners get caught up in the conversation on the front end, and they'll really appreciate the conversations that we're having. So for those that are listening, keep an ear out. We're going to cover that at the back. And for those that are new, you'll want to stick around and hear what we got going on as a podcast.
All right.
It'll be pretty good, right?
Hey, we're actually, we all know what our mission is for this podcast. This is to pull together an amazing community of people and to give back. That's why we started this podcast there's a couple of reasons, right? We started this podcast because we have firefighters from all different parts of the country, and we have an opportunity to sit around a virtual coffee table and chit chat about how you do and how we do different things, and from, leadership styles to cultures to tactics, and that's the greatest part about it. But at the same time, like, we had a virtual Fill the Boot where we raised $2,200 for the American Red Cross. Amazing. We gave $400 to the First Responders Children's Foundation. Jillian Crane was amazing. We need to follow up with her and do something for them again because they're just amazing. And so it's just all greatness. And we're almost at 20,000 plays.
Yeah.
20,000 plays across all platforms. Actually, to be honest, if we were to add in our YouTube, we would be over 20,000 plays. So we're over 20,000 plays across all platforms, but just the ones that deal with Spotify. Spotify pushes out to, it used to be Anchor, but now it's Spotify for podcasters. And that pushes out to like iHeartRadio and Amazon, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the whole deal.
So I want to go back to a couple different things. Speaking of the fundraiser that we did, first off, your mustache is coming back in very nicely.
It's trying, yes.
It is. Well, it's there. If I tried to do that, it would do nothing. That's why I have the baby face. And it would not happen. Number two, I found out this week, did not realize it, but the First Responder Children's Fund gives out scholarships to individuals who have not lost a line of duty death. We had a firefighter in my fire department whose kid received a grant from them, like for college, and I was like, I didn't even know that. Like, how cool is that? Like,
they are
learn
amazing.
something every day.
And when Jillian was on, she told us that they sponsor, like, I don't remember the terminology they used, but it was something of the effect of like a firefighter for a day, or like they'll sponsor your city to do, have like kids out and to, you put on a little program for them for a few hours and stuff like that. Like, how cool is that?
It is pretty cool. Hey, so topic wise, like we literally hit record and said we just wanted to keep it lighthearted.
Yeah.
So I threw the question out to AI. Everybody's using AI now, right? And we said we wanted something lighthearted. And here's what it threw out.
Oh boy.
You ready? So this is what we're going with. Okay. We're not even vetting it. We're going to roll with it.
Rolling.
Tell a funny experience on a fire call. So I want to know, like on a emergency scene or whatever. So I want to know, what was the funniest thing that you've ever had happen at an emergency scene?
Can I go
Matt
first?
can't even get started because he's laughing at himself. So what is it? We're going to do that.
So here's the problem, right? Like, I was there. And so it's probably more funny for me that it happened, but I'm gonna go there anyways.
So before you get started, let's ask a poll. Okay, everybody, we're gonna timestamp this. However, how many minutes we are into this, how many people think that they're actually gonna legitimately laugh at these versus not laugh at these because you probably had to be there, and that's okay because you're gonna want to listen to the whole thing to hear stories to see if they are legitimately funny or not. So drop a comment, let me know. Do you think it's gonna be funny? Yes or no? And then tell us whether we did a really good job at this or a really bad job at this at the end. So go ahead.
And that is huge. Like, please, if you could engage in that manner, that would mean so much to us.
Yes. It doesn't matter whether you just type in there, y'all are terrible. Like, even bad compliments. I go back to the hot dog when I was on, and I talked about how I had over 2 million views because people were fussing about the way I cooked a hot dog. But anyways, go ahead.
Do you guys have like personas in the fire service or in your fire department where you
define it? You're always using big words.
So like a persona, like you have this guy
put in a sentence
who's just like a normal human being, but you either put him on a pedestal just for fun and you just make fun of him because we have this guy, his name is Chip.
I'm feeling attacked.
And he is just like this. His persona for us in our fire department for Chip, he's one of our captains, and is that he's just Hulk. The guy can't, like, he's just the biggest guy. He's Sasquatch. Like, nobody's ever actually seen Chip. He's just there. Like,
nobody's seen him.
Nobody's seen Chip. He's almost like comparing him to Chuck Norris. Okay, he's like Chuck Norris. I mean. He can beat up Chuck Norris. All right. I mean, there's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast right now. They're rolling their eyes because nobody can beat Chuck Norris. Okay. But Chip can. So that's.
Well, you don't know our guy, Jim, from my base. Well, he used to be at my base. He's now at another base.
Right.
I feel like this needs to be episode 2 is tell us about your big dude. Tell us about your big dude.
No. So Jim needs to meet Chip. Is that what needs to happen?
Oh, yeah.
See? Okay, so Jim's got the persona of the Hulk, and so Chip does too. So Chip is this amazing, gets along with everybody, always has a smile on his face, works harder than probably anybody in the fire department. He wants to go out and train all the time, just wants to rip your face off. Such a good dude.
Such a good dude, but he wants to rip your face off. I love how you teed that up. All right, go ahead.
It's all the above. He's A, B, C, D, and E. That's just it. Okay, that's Chip. I made a logo for Chip on AI, and it was him standing on the top of the earth, and he's just this big, muscular fireman that just wants to rip your face off. He's gonna rip your face off. So this is Chip, right? So I'm a fireman.
Chip, if you're watching, I want to meet you.
I'm gonna make sure Chip listens to this. So Chip knows exactly where I'm going with this story. So we run this call downtown, and it's me. I'm the fireman. Chip is the engineer at the time, and one of our best friends in the department, John, is the captain. So we run this call. It's unknown medical aid, whatever. We get there. It's this young girl, She's like 20 years old, cute girl, whatever. And she's crying and blah, blah, my life sucks and all this stuff. She's got depression and all this kind of stuff. So we're sitting there and, she's like, she's crying and then she's laughing and then she's crying and then she's laughing. It's one of those calls. You know what I mean? And the three of us together, we finished each other's sandwiches, if you know what I mean. Okay. So we're sitting there and she just goes like, she just literally like says like, stop this madness. Like you guys are just crazy. Right. And she goes, and she has like a moment and she looks at all of us. She goes, why are all firemen so good looking? And we were like, what are you talking about? And so my captain, John, who I just mentioned, his personality is just like, well, what do you mean? Like is he cute? And he points at somebody. And this is like the middle of summer. There's like hundreds of people around. They're not watching us, but they're just walking by. And she goes, yeah. And then he goes, is he cute? And he points at a different person. And yes. And is he cute? And he points at Chip, the biggest man on planet Earth. And he's over there doing the iPad because he's on the documentation today. So he's over there not even paying any attention. And John points over at Chip. Is he cute? And she goes, eh.
That's horrible.
And we all erupt in laughter.
No respect. No respect around here.
No respect for Chuck Norris, Chip Gilmore. No respect for the man. And it was, I mean, we tell that story to all the new guys because it's just like, we all erupted in laughter and, all the tourists like all walking by and they're going, what the heck is going on over there? All they could see is just like the fireman are there. It must be something serious. And now here we are just laughing. So anyways, that was a pretty funny call that I'll never forget. I'll never forget it.
That was your funny call. I love it. Adam, how about you?
I don't know, man. I can't think of it.
You can't think of a funny story? Like they're all serious, they're all doom and gloom. Like you never had any. Like I got one, and it comes to my mind right now so much.
Go ahead.
But no. Well, no. But here's the thing: I can't share it. I really cannot share it. Like it is.
What do you mean? This is the safe tree. This is the
it's
tree
not.
of safety.
Are you kidding me? I can't share that here. Like if you knew what it had to deal with, I mean, my tagline is faith, family, and food. I cannot share that story here. I'm just saying it's not situationally appropriate. I want my grandkids to go back and listen to this at some point one day, especially with Doug and his bleeps. But like it's one of those things because that's where the bleep is. Matt's face, your face is classic right then. But like it is truly a very, very funny story, and it involved a cop on top of that. There really was not even any firefighter in the room. It was me and a cop. So I've got to think of another one that is close to that level of funny. I've got a couple.
While you think of it, do you want me to share another story?
Yes. Adam's still thinking. Or really,
no, he's
is
not.
there just nothing funny at all, Adam? Like nothing? Come on now. I know what I'll share.
Oh.
Go ahead, Adam.
Ryan's got one.
I got one.
I can't remember a lot. I have really bad memories. I mean, like, in general, I can't remember a lot of things.
He just purges it.
So I'm going to just say, again, I'm not going to say the agency or anything like that because we have very wonky rules around here. But I was a young firefighter.
It was Anaheim Fire Department. Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim. It was Anaheim. Anaheim.
Oh, boy.
So I was assigned to a ladder truck. We rode 2 on the ladder at the time. So me and another guy. And I work with him on my days off. He was very, very ADHD, very set in his ways, senior driver, had been around the block for a while. So senior driver, but didn't run in officer. So he spent a lot of time on that truck because he was the driver of that truck or trucks like that. So he didn't run in as officer. But anyways, middle of the night, we get a call for a structure fire. So we leave, and my captain, you had to know he was old school, calm, cool, and collected. but a little bit crazy. But I think we could use a little more crazy today, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
If you were around the block. So I'm just going to say that. And I'm not in the firehouse, but I just not in the firehouse like I was, not living in there, but we need a little crazy. But anyways, put a pin in that one. That's a conversation for another day. But anyways, so I was on the ladder. My other crew was on the engine. We that was our house. Was an engine and a ladder. And so I was on the ladder with my senior driver for the house. Okay. And so the other driver was driving the other engine. Anyways, we get dispatched and we leave out. We're behind the engine. We called this truck the White Elephant. It was slow. It was old. It was a white ladder. And so we get down the road and dispatch comes across and says, all units responding to whatever, be advised, we're getting reports of subjects trapped on the second floor, right? Like this is the moment in your career where you're like, oh God, this is what we trained for. And here I am 2 to 3 years on the job and I'm on the ladder and our function was rescue. And before even the lady, I think, had even unkeyed, my captain is keying up and says, ladder 1 from engine 3, be prepared to perform a rescue. Just like that. Very calm, very cool. He was already given the directive. And I look over and my driver does not even have so much as bunker pants on. Like it's all like in the engineer's compartment. And I thought to myself, oh God. Well, he starts cussing and fussing and yelling and complaining because he's like, I don't have my stuff on. He's going to be mad and da-da-da-da-da. You know, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm sitting here thinking, trying to remember all the things that I needed to have for that rescue. And we're getting there really quick. I mean, you got to remember, you're on scene within 4 minutes from the time of dispatch. And so we're 2 to 3 minutes and we're already halfway there. So I have about a minute and a half to refresh everything in rescue in that whole textbook at 2:00 in the morning in my brain. So we pull up on scene. And as we pull up on scene, he tells me, he says, go check in with Captain Morrow and tell him I'll be right there. I meet Captain Morrow in the front yard. He's walking towards me and I'm walking towards him. And I thought I hear him say, go get Randy. That's what I thought I heard him say. The guy's name was Randy. So I was like, yes, sir. And I turned around. You didn't question his authority whenever he said it. He jerked me by my air pack and said, no, I blankety blank said, where is Randy? And I said, he's back at the truck putting his gear on. He's like, get up that ladder and get that lady. And by this time, I had not looked up. And there was literally a lady hanging out the second window and the smoke is billowing out behind her head. And I was like, oh God, here we go. What was it that I was just talking about like a minute and a half ago? What was it that I needed to do? How did I carry someone out? Whatever. So I climb up the ladder, you know, like I don't even remember walking. I think I elevated from where my captain was up the ladder. And so I'm right there. And I said, ma'am, I didn't have my air pack on, no mask. I can just remember looking at her face to face. And I said, ma'am, I need to get you down this ladder. Now, mind you, there is a guy standing behind her. Okay, so there is a lady here. There is a guy standing behind her. And she says, I can't do it. I'm pregnant. And I said, ma'am, I've got to get you out. You're going to come lay in my arm. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to rest you up against this ladder and I'm going to take steps down. And should you be too heavy, don't worry. You're going to fall on my knees and I will still carry you down. I said, we trained for this. You got to do it. And he's like, yeah, babe, you got to get out there and we got to save this baby, even if it's not mine. And I'm like, wait, what?
Okay.
Adam picked on it. Matt did not. So in that moment, I was like, did he just say what I thought he just said? Like in that moment.
Say it again.
He said, he said, yes, do what he said. Because we got to save that baby, even if it's not mine. I kid you not. Okay. With smoke blowing around it. And I was like, wait, what? What did you just say? And so I get her down. And before I passed her off to some waiting firefighters from our second in engine company. And before I could turn around, homeboy was down the ladder. He had self-rescued. He was down. So we end up putting it out. I tell my whole crew, we have a really good laugh. But let me tell you what really aggravated me about that. What do you think my girl was doing about 3 minutes after I got her down the ladder? She was over there smoking a cigarette. And I was like, wait a minute, I should have just left you in there. But legitimately, that was probably the second funniest thing that I ever did. But, I know we said we're going to keep it all lighthearted. When my captain retired and he had his going away party, he said, you got to do something that I in my whole career never got to do. He said, you got to do a rescue. He's like, do you know how lucky you were? And I was like, lucky? That's like, do you know how unique of a situation that was? But it was so unique. And the crazy part about it was, and again, not to get all sentimental and emotional, I talk a lot about firefighter cancer. I took a day off, and the guy who was supposed to take my seat right in the engine got to rescue a little kid in the same exact district, like 4 to 5 months later. It wasn't nowhere near as tragic. Like there was a pot on the stove, and the kid was sitting on the couch, him and his sister, and he went in and walked him out. That same guy that I graduated high school died of a brain tumor 4 or 5 years later. And, just to me, that goes back to the faith, family, and food. That was God's way of saying, I need to give him a chance too. I need to give him a chance to be at peace with everything that's going on in his life. But man, I mean, again, I don't want to get all sentimental on it or not take away from that moment, because who in their right mind as a man or a woman would look at somebody in the middle of a rescue and bring up the fact that their girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is, that they're not the baby daddy. Is that common in Virginia, Adam?
Not to my knowledge.
Like, what happened? How about California? Would that happen in California?
No.
Oh my gosh. We still share. My wife doesn't share many fire service stories, but she shares that one when she tells people about it. How long has Brian been in? What has he done? Have any cool stories? She's like, well, let me tell you the story about the pregnant lady with the multiple baby daddies. Let me tell you that. So pretty wild. What about you, Adam? Come on, you got to give me a good story. My son just texted me from his room, and said, "Greatest story of all time, Dad." You can hear me down the hallway. He loves it. He loves that story. My whole family loves that story. They'll tell it when I retire, and it's good. It's a good story. You seriously don't have one, Adam?
I probably do. I just can't recall.
Right. You definitely do. Like, I mean, it's definitely true that
I got some amusing ones. Just over the weekend, I was going from one base to the other one, and there's like nothing to the story, but I find it hilarious because I was caught off guard. We were driving down near our ocean front. We're in the city of Virginia Beach. We're going from one base to another.
I just totally got a Chris Farley vibe whenever you're pointing your hands.
Yeah, I know.
We were driving down over by the river. Oh, sorry.
One of the greatest skits of all time.
So we're driving down, and this is the oceanfront resort area. And we're just kind of cruising through, going to another base. And I lock eyes with this guy on the sidewalk, and he's there with his drink, and like a McDonald's bag kind of deal. And he just takes it and slings it at the front of the fire truck. And I was quick enough that I just let off the gas, and it just missed my driver's mirror. And my lieutenant, my officer, told him hello, and we just kept going. It was, to me, the most bizarre thing.
Why would anybody do that?
I don't know. But first thing that came to my mind was instead of blowing the air horn, because ours is extra loud, all I can think of is like, what if there's something that could break the windshield? And I don't know. But it was the weirdest thing. I never encountered anybody being negative. So is the fire department. And this guy just slipped fast food bag in the front of our truck. It was the weirdest thing over the weekend.
So I know we wanted to keep this week and next week kind of short. So Matt, do you want to share yours, or do you want to go into housekeeping and kind of wrap it up?
Well, the one that I was going to go into, I wouldn't mind talking about, because I think that it's a topic that needs to be, what's the right word? Shared. It needs to be known. that a lot of the times in the news, our local police departments are always shown in such a bad light, and so much so that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, maybe not the opinion of the Cool Fireman Podcast or Brian Kelly or Adam McCoy, but or any of the other fine gentlemen on this podcast. But I think the media really doesn't do our local police departments any good, to be honest with you. I think that a lot of the reason why people don't like the police departments these days are because of the media. And so here I am on my little pedestal, which I'm allowed to have, right? Mm-hmm. We have a podcast. No, I think I can. I ran a
Don't believe me, watch me.
So you guys were recording a podcast, and I was fixing to get on it and do it with you. But about 10 minutes before you guys were about to hit record, I got a call at work. Mm-hmm. And so the call was for a police assist. And we have 9 miles of beachfront in Laguna. And one of our beaches, one of the worst access beaches we have, is called Thousand Steps Beach. And a lot of lovely people decide to visit these beaches because of TikTok and Instagram and all these wonderful influencers, which is great. Like tourism's great. That's a whole nother podcast. But anyways, this couple decides to fancy one of our nice beaches, and they become so inebriated, so intoxicated that they can't make it up the 1,000 stairs. Thousand Steps Beach is named Thousand Steps Beach because it's not easy access. It's pretty straight up, and it's about 155 stairs you gotta get up, and they're big steps.
Riveting.
Not easy steps. So anyways, we get a call, says, "Hey, PD assist, we need you guys for a stair chair." And I said, "Well, we don't have a stair chair, but an ambulance does. So let's go ahead and just start an ambulance. And they said, "Now the man is nausea and vomiting." And I said, "Oh, perfect. Now it's a medical aid." And so we get halfway down the stairs, and there's this nice gentleman, screaming explicits to our police officers. And thank goodness now all of our police officers have body cams on, and everybody will know the truth. But the thing is that these types of instances don't make on the news, on the media. And so since we're just talking calls, and this just happened literally last week, it's fresh in my mind. It was I would say it's probably top 3 worst calls I've read in my career. And not talking about gory, but just pure call. You guys know what I'm talking about. The call.
The totality of it.
At the very end of it, it took 2 hours, and we all look at each other and we go, "Yeah, that was just a shitty call. It was just terrible." And this guy was
no good outcomes anywhere around.
Yelling. I mean, every obscenity you can come up with, calling the officers names that I'm sure your imagination can come up with. I won't share on this podcast. But terrible, terrible, terrible things. And all we could say was, "Sir, we just want to help you get up the stairs. That's all we want to do." And he wasn't having it. F you, F that, F all of you. What's your badge number? It was just unbelievable, right? So we finally talked this guy down. De-escalation, training. And so we get him halfway back up the stairs, and he's walking up, and one of the police officers whispers in my ear and says, "Hey, we have another medical aid all the way at the bottom of the stairs." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's not good." Well, it's his wife, and she's just as intoxicated as he is, and she's actually passed out on the sand.
Oh, she's easier to take up.
So I said, "Oh, well, perfect." So right away, I start another assignment for another medical aid, get another ambulance and another medic unit coming. So anyways, I dish him off on this other medical aid, and I go down. I split us up because we have 2 medics on our rig. So I split my other medic. I said, go down the stairs and tell me what you got." Worse than him. She 350-pound lady,
oh Lord,
just absolutely whipping her hair around, spitting on us, calling us every single name in the book. It was one of the most nasty, vile calls I've been on in my career. It was pretty bad. So we end up getting her up halfway, and then she couldn't make it. She just ended up drooling all over herself, and we put her in a chair and we carried her up the rest of the stairs, but to nothing but, hey, thanks for that. But it was that we're going to be all sued. She said one of the lines that she had was, "I hope that your family drowns in the amount of debt I am going to put you in, because I'm going to sue the out of you." That was just one line. I've never seen somebody go on such a riff and not take a breath in my life. It was unbelievable. And so I just want to give a little, and this is like not a funny, this is just like an awareness call for me. I told the cops afterwards, I saw them the next shift. I said, guys, you guys did an amazing job. I said, nobody lost their cool. Nobody yelled. Nobody got tased. Nobody died. We made it up the stairs, and she yelled every single obscenity that she could at you. And you guys kept your cool. And I'm like, I want to take your guys' body cam footage and make a video and make a PSA out of this and send this to the media. And be like, look at how the Laguna Beach Police Department and Fire Department, all of us were involved, handled this situation. And we got her to the hospital. They checked her out. They cleared her. She went to jail and then went straight to county. So it's I just want to give a shout out to the police department and all police officers in our country. What they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis is nothing that anybody should have to deal with. And to be honest with you, our country should be lucky that there's even people still signing up for the police academy. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why a kid would come up today after watching what they see on the media. And sorry, this is my Doug rant. And want to sign up for a police academy. That just blows me away. And every police officer that I've met and dealt with, especially the ones that we run with, we have such a close relationship with our police department. They have our backs. We have their backs. If they need us for some reason, I don't care. It's 2:00 in the morning. Call us out. Like we'll handle this together. We'll make it work. But boy, like the craziness that's going on in this country, I've had family members ask me, like, really, do you think that guy had to really use that source of pain and force? Yeah. Sorry. That's the word I was looking for. Force. I mean, that just looked like just crazy. Well, really, because I'm sure you just watched the news, and I'm sure that they just gave you a little 15-second snippet of what happened, and you don't actually have true context of what happened on that call. And the crazy crap that these police officers all over the country, not just in my city that I work for, you guys are shaking your heads because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's sick. I won't say it's absolutely, it's just sick. I hate it. But boy, we couldn't do our jobs without our police department. And they couldn't do their job without ours. And we work very well as a team. And I'm just proud of that. I'm proud about how those guys, those two officers that were on scene, dealt with that situation. And I hope it makes on the media. It won't, because it wasn't, somebody didn't get tased, or, somebody's family member did.
It wasn't negative.
It wasn't negative. Yeah, it wasn't negative enough. It wasn't negative enough. So anyways, that's my rant.
Well, and even though that wasn't a funny story, I think it was relevant. And it was lighthearted enough to say that at the end of the day, it shows a positive side of the job that we do. We spend a lot of time on this podcast talking culture and different things and, ways to improve and everything. But I think that one of the things that I don't want to say struggled with, one of the things that we haven't done enough of is recognizing those external people that we collaborate with. Everybody on this podcast is a fire medic system. My agency is not. We're EMTs only. And so we rely very heavily on our medics. Mm-hmm. And that is a thankless, some people are staying in as medics in the fire service because they need the retirement and they're there for the fire and they just maintain it. For us, we've seen, we have very few fire medic based programs here in this eastern part of our state. And for the whole state for that matter. We only have a few select ones that do have it, maybe a county or whatever that may do it. But I guess what I'm saying is that we have seen huge turnover rates in medics who were just like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go to work, and I'm not going to be coughed all over, spit on, crapped on, thrown up on. And for what? To be told that I didn't get here fast enough, that I don't care and let's not even talk about the amount of trauma that they're seeing with regards to meth overdoses and things. That was something that Matt and I talked about last night, kind of prepping for a class that we're going to be doing coming up, where it talks about the amount of exposure that, a battalion chief today has, or the relevancy of today versus 20 years ago when they were riding a truck. It's not the same call volume. It's not the same type of calls that it was 20 years ago. So you can be empathetic in one regard, but you can be ignorant in the other, and it's not the same. And so ignorance, let's also be empathetic to the citizens, because they are only as educated as the information and the method in which they receive. So these same individuals who are watching the media, those same family members, they're ignorant because they're taking it and they legitimately think that is valid information, that is from an unbiased, valid source. And they want to believe it. They do, right? I want to believe. Just this past weekend, I'm going to tell a little story. I'm not going to be too loud because my kid's in the other room. Randomly, Sunday morning, I get ready for church. I text Adam. We were texting each other on Sunday. And I come out and I'm getting ready. And my son was like, Dad, a light bulb broke and I really don't know how it broke. And I'm like, but that's the area that you always throw the ball with the dog. And he was like, it's not, I promise I wasn't, and I'm like, okay, I want to believe you, but my son, of course you do. He's in there listening, but in my mind, I go back to what I know. See, they don't know. And that's the whole thing, is we get frustrated because we know the history of things. We know the evolution of those. And that's the same reason why, and to take it back to being the lightheartedness of this, that's the reason why on these calls we can see it as funny, because we know the totality of what it is and we can look back on it and just find humor in it. We can find humor in those funny moments. I had a fire call, another one, probably not as funny. I showed up, a guy was drunk. He was mad that somebody was buying a piece of property, and so he attempted to set it on fire. He was drunk. And so he's walking across the yard from that house to this other house, and the assistant chief and I are talking in my truck window. It's about, I don't know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it was middle of the night. And this guy was right. He was primed up right. And directly he comes walking through the ditch and he falls and he passes out in the ditch. And he was like, well, let me go help him up. I'm like, no, leave him. I said, because I know right where to find him. I got to go talk to him. I was like, if he keeps walking around, I ain't going to know where he's at. I said, and he's going to screw with the evidence that I got. I was like, leave him right there. Look at him. He's rolling around. He can't get up. I know where to find him. Okay. Just leave him there for a little bit. We can laugh about that. Every one of y'all are chuckling to yourself because you've probably been in a situation like that where it's like, they're fine. Just like you with the lady at the bottom. Just leave her. We'll get to her in a minute. She's breathing on her own. We talked about it last week. It's like, it's good. It's maintaining control. You're actually okay. It's purposely.
I ran a call when I was on a private ambulance a long time ago. It was like a brand new EMT. We get in there, came in as a seizure. And we get in there, this guy's flopping all around, like sizzling.
I got a seizure story.
Sizzling bacon. And we walk over and we go, what's that on his face? And the lady goes, well, I put mustard on his face. And we're like, why did you do that? Well, I read that on Google that if you put mustard on their face, that they stop seizing.
That's it.
We were like,
heard of it.
They got yellow mustard all over this guy's face. I was like, holy shit. At least he didn't shove a wallet in his mouth.
Can I tell a quick story about a seizure? A funny story about a quick seizure. Real quick, and then we'll close it out.
We're wrapping up.
We really do. We got to. So, funny story. So, it was early, like a Monday. It was a Monday morning. I know it was. And I was on my way into work, and I heard a fire call come out for a vehicle fire. And I didn't pay nothing of it. 90% of those I never got called to because usually it starts in the engine compartment, whatever. You don't need to go investigate an engine compartment fire. You shouldn't anyways. If you do, you need to really train your captains a little bit better. I digress. So anyways, I'm rolling on and save that for another podcast. Matt, you're sitting there shaking your finger. So,
Dang.
so I go about and so all of a sudden I hear this, hey, can we get a fire investigator? And I'm like, what are we doing? So I'm like, well, this is odd. So I go rolling out there. A local meth head had got into a domestic with her boyfriend. He had come home from working at a local plant on Friday, took his debit card and his car, went and took all the money out of the ATM from what he had gotten, smoked it up, partied all weekend. And when she came back Monday, right, he was mad and he decided to tell her all about it. He's like, I got to go to work, but you can't be doing this and blah, 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 blah. Well, she goes outside and torches his truck on fire because she's still kind of livid from the weekend.
That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you do. I mean, you're
very
crazy
rational.
meth head. So when I show up, like, it's all cool until the guy that knows people with handcuffs shows up, right? So then I start asking her questions, and I'm like, can you tell me what happened? Blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, Sally Caesar shows up. She starts flopping on the ground, whatever, da, 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 da. And here comes the boyfriend. Oh my gosh, she's got seizures. What can y'all do for this? Now, we are way out in the county where, like, it takes forever for an ambulance to get there. So I've got my EMT credentials. I go get my medical bag. And I'm like, y'all just stay back. I'll take care of this. Whatever. So I'm over there looking. And they were like, aren't you going to do something? I'm like, well, I have a limited bag here. Like, I can't really get vital signs. I would try to do a bite stick, but I don't think that that's appropriate. So I've got a medic unit on the way. We're just going to see what happens. So I said, why don't you go answer his questions? By that time, the detective had showed up. So he goes to take a report with him, and I'm sitting there watching her. By this time, she's in her post-stictal state. And so all of a sudden, I see her eye open up, and she stares at me, and I was like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just like that. I was like, you such a faker. You faked the seizure. Like, and it was mediocre. Like, it was a bad Chinese film. Fake seizure, right? Like, it wasn't even Emmy award winning. It was bad. She went to the hospital, and just like you said, after she left the hospital and got cleared, guess where she went?
Jail.
Yeah. She could go into jail. Well, let's do some housekeeping.
Aren't those amazing though? Like those people that think like, oh, I'll dupe the fireman. Like, I just love watching a fake seizure. People are like, how did you know it's fake? Because I've seen a million seizures before.
Right.
Like, and
that's
so
not real.
No. So I just stare at the person and they're just like,
you really want to impress me. Whiz yourself.
I was like, this is like an Emmy or a Grammy.
Adam's laughing because he knows I'm right? Like, that's
it's time to bring up some call memories.
Here it comes. The Grammy Award winners. And dude, you just tell them straight there, I know you're faking it. And then you do the arm test, and they're like, it misses their face. You're like,
yes,
come on.
Yes.
And
they're like,
the ammonia.
And then all of a sudden they just pop out of it. I was having a seizure. Like, oh, I'm sure you were. Yeah.
Or an ammonia. Pop a little ammonia packet.
Hey, one thing that I was thinking of, Brian, when you were talking about your first story was, I don't know if did you hear the Enter Sandman play?
Mm-mm.
Can you guys hear that?
No.
Darn it.
I mean, I know Enter Sandman, but
you were like, yeah, we were on the way. And all of a sudden we knew that there was going to be a rescue.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, dude, that's Metallica, Enter Sandman.
It's good stuff.
Have you heard the jazz version?
No.
Okay. We'll talk about that later.
We'll play that in the intermission.
All right.
Now, mind you, it's getting late and we gotta do another one.
Hey, I think we inspired what we're going to talk about on our next podcast. And maybe it's going to be about like the other.
Don't tell them. They gotta listen.
Listen. This is the teaser. If you want to hear all about it.
Okay.
I'm talking about like, we work with lifeguards where I work. We have PD, course, we've talked about American Red Cross. We have a TIP, trauma intervention prevention team. And oh my God, there are a bunch of amazing people. Amazing. We have CERT, community emergency management team. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Wait. There's a soundbite. CERT does not have an M in it.
Oh yeah. Management, community emergency response team. Sorry.
There we go. Winner, chicken dinner.
My bad. Hey, real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to do a moment of silence for all of our brothers and sisters that we've lost.
Before we go deep, can we do the lighthearted, like where we're going to be next week, if we can, before we do the moment of silence? Can we close with that?
You do housekeeping then. You do.
No. I just...
No.
Well, I just feel like we went from being real funny to like real serious. But I guess you could laugh at a funeral. I mean, you could.
The first 3 letters are fun.
Will Ferrell did.
I'm hilarious.
Adam, tell him where you're gonna be next week, please.
Apparently, I'm going to hell.
Jeez.
Oh man,
I don't know if we're gonna make it past tonight.
I'm going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina at the SAFER. That's the South Atlantic Fire Rescue Expo in Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll be there Friday and Saturday on the expo floor. Just look, we'll be around.
Is there no M in SAFER?
There's not.
I said Mid-Atlantic. Oh, jeez. My department is Mid-Atlantic.
You didn't say that. Don't let him believe you.
Okay.
But you'll be in the Taylor's 10 booth, and we'll have plenty of seasons. So please tell a friend. And if you're not going and you know someone that's going, be sure to stack up and rack up and get some seasons.
You'll be able to try it. Try it before you buy it.
Stack them and rack them.
Stack them and rack them. And I'll be there as well. I'll be hanging out with Adam on Saturday in the booth a good portion of the day. Yep. And then I'll be floating around on Friday. You'll probably be able to see me at our booth for the North Carolina Fire Marshals Association on Friday, and then Adam's booth on Saturday. And so I'm super stoked. I'll actually be there from like Tuesday until probably I'm going to give that little tidbit out. But anyways, I'll be there a good portion. So good times. All right. Our sponsors are unkieseasoning.com and the Burn Box, which new boxes should be shipping very soon. Did you want to give a teaser? Yes, no. What did we decide? We decided no.
I don't know if Tom wants us to give a teaser, but this box is going to be super rad.
Yeah, this box is going to have something from BA Shields and Axe Head Threads in it. I just saw
a little Facebook post, right? Yeah, so go. That's what we had talked about before. I've got a recipe content, and so I got a teaser of what's inside already. I knew, but I'm not sharing. Not going to share, but I will tell you this month's box looks really cool. And hashtag said the fire marshal. So there's that. So if I think it's cool, it's pretty cool. So
nerd alert.
All right, Matt, you want to do the moment of silence?
No, you're doing it. I'm not doing it.
Oh my gosh. So let's do a moment of silence for everybody that we've lost this week. And we have lost some. If you catch the headlines, there has been some tragedies. I think I've seen some cardiac calls as well as some fire-related incidences as well. I know of 1 or 2 heart attacks that I know I saw on the ticker. So let's take a moment for those folks.
Keep
all right?
those tickers healthy, will you?
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, very good.
My hair's coming back.
I do. I see it. And look, it's got the little swoosh in there too. That's rad. Just like your hat.
That's right.
So, so thanks for listening. Make sure you comment. Was what we said funny? It's like a DJ.
Brian just went underwater.
I did. There's a soundbite. So, but do us a favor, drop a comment. Let us know, is the stuff that we shared, was it funny? Was it lighthearted? And did you like us putting the housekeeping at the back? Dang, I'm cool. That's what his shirt said. So with that, Adam, you got to say it this week.
Roll it, Gigi.
Roll it, Gigi.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button
turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out thecoolfireman.com for more. Thanks!